2 original works Jaguar D-types.
So I'm the vehicle collection manager, so I look after the vehicle collection.
The pressure's on now. You've got to reel off 30 impressive facts and figures. This really is a responsibility to work on these, which I am taking very seriously. That is part of the problem. That's exactly the noise we're looking at. No flat spot. Woo! Simply fantastic. Looking forward to driving it at Oulton Park tomorrow.
I think you've actually nailed it. That feels absolutely bob on.
I am happy to hear that.
Happy days. Good man. Excellent. Good man.
Iain Tyrrell Jaguar D-Type test session is a go.
Just warming it up. The amazing thing about these engines is it's so tractable. It really is. It's just warming up, so we're getting a bit of spitting back through the carbs, but it doesn't feel like a racing car engine where, I mean, some of them tick over at 2,000 or 3,000 RPM. There's nothing like that with this. And it's developing serious power, this. It's about 350 brake horsepower from 3.4 litres, which for a long stroke, very old engine design is incredible, really. Not a bad day in the office, this. Driving a multi-million pound car around one of the world's most iconic racing circuits. And I'm just very relieved we've had that success with the carburettors yesterday in prepping it. Very, very relieved. Just absolutely loves corners. You just think your way around a corner. The whole car, the feedback through the steering wheel is just sensational. It's effortless. That's the whole point. The car just, for a racing car, it just feels as though it drives itself. It's quite fabulous. It's chomping at the bit, this. It really is. We've got all the temperatures and pressures now. Good oil pressure, 60 pounds per square inch, which is a lot for an XK engine. The early ones ran at sort of even 20, 30 psi while they're running. But that's modern bearing clearances. I've tightened everything up at the bottom end. Okay. Here we go. Just thinking my way around corners. These tyres are cross-ply tyres, which were very much falling out of favour in the 1960s. We went on to radials. So the radial tyre wasn't invented for normal use in the early late 1950s, but just even so, for what are very balloonish radial ply tyres, these are hardly low profile. The feedback and the levels, I can tell without driving on the limit that this car has high levels of grip, as you would expect. So here I am driving the 1954 prototype D-type Jaguar, and this very car with this very engine went to Le Mans in 1954. It took 5 seconds off the lap record. This car actually had the lap record at Le Mans for some years. It literally shaved 5 seconds off the lap time, which is a lifetime in motor racing terms, around the Le Mans circuit. I know it's a long circuit, but even so. Innes Ireland, I think it was, who broke that record in this car, in this seat, behind this engine that I am driving now. It's absolutely incredible. just thinking my way around these corners. The responsibility is ever present, but you sort of don't forget it. But nevertheless, sensational. Taking the racing line, now that things are warmed through, down past Cascades, round this bend, into the hairpin. There is so much power that the whole car actually pitches, the nose goes up just with the sheer torque. I mean, 300. This car weighs about 700 kilos, 350 brake horsepower. That's a lot of brake horsepower per litre, maybe 450. And again, this car did 192 miles an hour in 1954, 55, which was just literally inconceivable in 1954, 55. So here we go. That's second gear. It's pulling like a train and we're running out of track. What an amazing machine. Just incredible. Round through, it's a tricky corner this, because it's a double apex corner. On the throttle. Under the Bailey Bridge. Down to second. Fabulous.
Well, we've been out as if the day wasn't spectacular enough. I'm about to jump into Mike Hawthorne's winning car. This car is from 1956. This is the penultimate D-Type manufactured. And again, a works car. This wasn't a privateer team, it was a works car. This car came 6th at Le Mans in 1956, and the reason it didn't win was because it had a problem with the fuel injector hose. It was running injection, Lucas mechanical injection, not the carburettors as it is now. The injection was removed some years ago. It is still a Le Mans winner, albeit in 6th place. Still an amazing result after the endurance of 24 hours. But yeah, to be able to sit in the same seat, driving the same car as Mike Hawthorne, the renowned, famous British racing driver, is quite something. So I'm going to hop in here, do a few laps now in this, and let's see. This is even more savage and more edgy than the other car, because this has got a 3.8 litre engine, and it's got all the modifications that were incorporated in the D-Types on the racetrack at Le Mans and other races. It's got all those modifications built into it, so this should be a whole different level. I think this car it was this one that went to the States in 1961. It was raced by Briggs Cunningham in the US very successfully in his blue and white livery, and then it came back to the UK in 1965, I think, 1966, and got reinstated in its Jaguar British racing green, instantly recognisable. So yeah, we're going to take this car around the track now. We've got the track to ourselves. Let's see what we have.
Well, I can already discern that this is a very different beast. This is very different. It's much more powerful, and we got this this screen here which apparently lowered the speed limit quite considerably, but by the time this came out, the regulations, I think for Le Mans, dictated that there had to be a passenger seat. I'm laughing because this is just too intoxicating for words. It's so savage. The noise, the throttle response, everything. It's just absolutely ready to drift and do opposite lock with this car. You can just feel it, the whole thing. Even, you know, it's so funny when I'm out with customers sometimes, I can feel more about how the car's behaving in the passenger seat than you can in the driver's seat. And you know, I'm driving this car very gingerly. This is a precious jewel. And wow, it's just all happening. It's very difficult for me to communicate. It's just complete sensory overload, this. It really is. Yeah, I'm trying to concentrate on wielding this many millions of pounds worth of car and enjoy myself. The throttle is like a switch. It really is. Amazing. Up again to Druids, one of Oulton Park's most famous corners. You start at the outside and work your way in. You don't apex the first part of the bend. Oh, gorgeous. I'm actually beginning to drift the back end here, which is very verbatim. I can't help myself. This car is so gorgeous. It's just like a creature that is in its natural habitat. It can't be described any other way. I'm limiting it to 4,500 RPM, and bearing in mind this the rev limit on this engine is higher than that. But I just daren't. This is it's just an amazing experience even to do this. Heeling and towing, double declutching, the pedals are placed perfectly. In fact, if anything, they're slightly better than the earlier car, which is probably one of the things they got right. As I touch the throttle out to that bend, the back end of the car is just slightly straining at the leash. The car is just slightly drifting. This is absolutely incredible. Through the chicane. Oh, and again, the back end just steps out as I apply the power. Phenomenal. Just incredible. I'm going to take the racing line here, but go nowhere near. I'm driving it heel and toe. Watching the back end. Oh! Over to the left. Under the Bailey Bridge. Incredible. Again, heeling and towing, double declutching, and there it is. A lap on one of the world's most iconic race circuits in one of the world's most iconic racing cars. Amazing.
Well, that concludes another Tyrrell's Classic Workshop video. Please do remember to subscribe, it is important, and we'll be back with something else very soon.